Hej och välkomna till dagens rapportintervju med Sensys Gatso. Jag kommer nu att gå över till engelska då Ivo som är med mig här i studion pratar engelska. Ivo, warm welcome here to Carnegie Studio.
Thank you.
Sensys Gatso. What is Sensys Gatso in short?
When my friends ask me what you're doing, I always say I'm saving lives. And what I mean by that is that we are in automated traffic enforcement. If cars are speeding, then they will receive a ticket. But in the end, we know that that behavior needs to be changed so we can save lives. It's a company that is a mix of two companies, the Swedish Sensys and the Dutch Gatso meter. They joined in 2015, so quite some time ago again. And that created the largest single player in the industry with a global footprint. So we have around 300 employees. We are in 70 countries. We have 50,000 systems across the world distributed already in our history. So we are a large player, I would say, in our industry. That's Sensys Gatso. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You have reported Q4 today. How would you describe the Q4 from an overall perspective?
Yeah, we were quite frankly expecting a little more in Q4. Reason why is that the timing of Trafikverket, which is one of our largest customer, has been postponed. We were expecting that in Q4. It now goes into the second half of 2025. That's an aspect, and we had this little bit of a backfall in the USA with Iowa, where they stopped the enforcement temporarily, so we missed out on that revenue as well. So that had a negative impact, but overall, I think we have a good year. I mean, we have a higher revenue, and we're satisfied with the EBITDA. Yeah.
Your managed services actually declined by 7%, which is a bit unusual. What was the reason behind it?
Yeah, I think I mentioned already Iowa. So we lost 20 million Swedish kronor on Iowa. So that's half a year of Iowa business. If that would have been taken out, we would have grown our business by 14% overall for the full year. So that's a bit of a disappointment. But I think the team in the US is doing the right thing. We work with our customers to try to get the cameras back up again, and we are taking all kinds of mitigating actions to recover the business.
Yeah. Maybe you should also mention that what happened in Iowa was actually a legislative measure that came very unexpectedly for
well, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. In Iowa, it was one of the few states where there was no legislation in place, meaning that the cities could do whatever they want. So the speed thresholds were different, the fines were different, the location where you could put them was up to the cities. And at state level, they now decided to harmonize that. In all other states, it's in place already, so we don't expect a negative impact of what happened in Iowa and in other states. I think it's actually a good thing. However, short term, we will have to pay for that. But as I said, we are in recovery mode and trying to recoup as much as we can from that lost revenue. Not only by doing that in the state of Iowa, but also by diversifying into new states and with new cities. So that you see in the numbers as well. We will invest more on the sales side in the US to make sure that we diversify and grow our business in the United States.
Okay, Thank you. Your system sales were quite strong, at least in my view. In which markets did you grow particularly well?
Yeah, I would say that's in the Netherlands. We have a contract in the Netherlands, which is worth 400 million. Half of that is system sales. And we made a really good push together with our customer to get those numbers back in Q4 in 2024. And we see some of that also still going into 25 and a bit in 26. But that's the main driver for the growth in system sales this quarter. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And finally, the EBIT margin contracted in Q4 relative to last year. You have mentioned a few items. Is it anything else you want to add to this?
I think it's the most important part is, of course, if you miss out on some of the, because of the legislative changes in Iowa, you miss out on high margin business. That's one aspect. The other aspect is, if you take a contract like the Netherlands and you start with delivering system sales first, these are at a lower margin initially because they're part of a tender, and the tender is always two bits. One is the system sales, and the other one is the recurring part, which is the service and maintenance. That part should be at a higher margin, of course, because you will keep that over time with you. And then in order to win the tender, you sometimes need to be a bit lower on the system sales part. So that's what you see now. So in the contracts, like in Sweden and like in the Netherlands, whenever we start rolling them out, the system sales introduction part of new systems, margins will always be a little bit suppressed. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Good to bear that in mind when one look at your business. If you look forward in the short perspective, you amended your 2025 ambition of both sales and EBITDA margin. Can you elaborate a little bit on this?
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to say we come with a 2025 outlook. So our ambition, which is to become this 1 billion company with this 50% EBITDA margin, has not changed. So the market is there, the business is there, the customers are there, the projects are there. So what we did see is a timing delay. And I already mentioned a few of the items there. And maybe I should add to that the orders from the Middle East, specifically Saudi Arabia. That's also taking a bit more time, but we are very confident that these businesses are coming in. So we will see an uptick in the Netherlands, we'll see an uptick in Sweden with the rollout. And managed services, where we do all the investments in the United States, will grow. And I do expect the orders from Saudi also to come in. So all in all, it is a timing aspect. We want to be very transparent with the market. So what we do is we go out and say to them, listen, we expect 2025 to arrive within this bracket of revenue with this EBITDA margin. And the EBITDA margin is not the 15% because we are investing for growth. So, but our ambition, the 1 billion, the 15% EBITDA hasn't changed. But the outlook for 2025 is now what it is.
Okay,
yep.
Thank you. So it's more, it's as you said, it's a timing issue rather than a different level of your ambitions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. If we take the longer perspective, I mean, you have today announced that you're about to resign and will find a successor. Can you just talk a little bit? Where were the company when you actually started 8 years ago?
I started 8 years ago in October 2017, which was actually quite short after the merger between Sensys and Gatso. And as with any merger, these integrations are always difficult. So coming in from the outside, I could take a different stance and say, listen, we need to unite. The way to unite is to build a strategy together, which we did, which was focusing on recurring revenue. We reorganized the company by making the entities, which we have 7 of them globally, P&L responsible. We set up a new product platform, which is called Flux, and we started implementing that. So that all united the team globally, and I think that's also why we see consistent double-digit growth in revenue and positive EBITDA. So it's not just me, right? There's the whole team behind it that helped push this messaging. So the company now is, I think, in a very, very good situation with a very clear ambition and a very clear strategy. So I think my successor will have a good time taking over in this position, right?
Okay, yeah. That's great. If you talk about the long-term drivers of your business, which are those, and how do you view them going forward?
Now, that hasn't changed from what we have also described in our strategy. We are focusing on recurring revenue. And the ambition is to bring that to 60% of our total business. So we have this base of revenue that comes in at relatively high EBITDA margins going forward. It's existing of the recurring revenue in the United States, which we call managed services. But it's also the recurring business, which we call service and maintenance, related to our system sales. So I look at, for instance, the Netherlands. It's great to sell the systems there, but the better part there is the recurring revenue, 6 years plus another 6 years going forward. So it won't change. We focus on the US as a market where we see great growth potential. We're just in not even 50 cities there, and we could be in maybe even 24,000 cities. So the market is in America, great opportunities for us. We have a good team there, so we can push there to grow the business. And then the other regions are also, I think, in a very stable situation and growth situation in the Middle East. So we're growth in Australia as well. So we are actually, I think, in a very good position.
If one take a little bit step further up, what is the benefit for the society, and what are the kind of fundamental drivers? Why are actually why are all countries investing in traffic safety?
Yeah, what you actually can see there is that, the United Nations Sustainable Growth, how do you call them again?
I think it's targets, but I'm not sure.
It's targets. I think it's targets. We're part of that, and one of them is to make cities safer and make traffic safer for people. And what we do see is that every year 1.3 million people die in traffic, and a huge factor of them are getting injured. Globally, we're talking globally here. We know that speeding in traffic and crossing red lights is a big factor of it. So if we can assist in help society with reducing speed and fewer people crossing red lights, we save lives. So I think that's the most important purpose of this company. And yes, we are a business to make profit, and that's extremely important, but we can only continue on our purpose if we make that profit. So I think that's extremely important. And governments start to see that because they also see the impact on their gross national domestic product of these fatalities and these injuries. So they have even an intrinsic financial reason to do something about it. So we help there as well. Yeah.
And this is for long been mostly in developed markets like countries like Sweden. Where do you see the geographical where do you see demand spreading out in from a geographical perspective?
Well, I mean, we are now active in Saudi. Saudi starts from ground zero, you could almost argue, with hardly any enforcement. It's a country that is developing really fast. A lot of investments in infrastructure in Saudi, as we all know, and we're part of that. And they're doing that because they want to be at the forefront of developed societies and make Riyadh, for instance, the center of the Middle East. That's where you see when countries and governments start to invest also in automated traffic enforcement. See exactly the same in Ghana. So the politicians start to recognize the importance of making sure that people, don't speed, don't create accidents, don't create damage to society and to the economy as well. Mm. Yeah.
Thank you, Ivo. That is the final word from this report interview.
Thank you so much, Örjan. Bye-bye.
Tack ni som tittade.